Hey, everybody, and welcome to the show. This is Louis Lotman, and you are about to be inspired and energized to take your business and your life to the next level. We are providing training that makes a difference in the lives of millions all around the world through our seminars, coaching programs, and video trainings just like this one. But before we get started with today's interview, we want to have a word from our sponsor. Supreme Outsourcing is an outsourcing company that wants you to delegate the work that you don't want to do, don't know how to do, or quite frankly, don't feel that it's worth your time. They want to do that work for you. If you're ready for more freedom, if you want to reduce your expenses, and you'd like to increase your revenues, give Supreme Outsourcing a call or send them an email or go ahead to their website and contact them. They do anything that can be done online or on the telephone. Anything from building a website to designing your graphics to your social media management to making outbound sales calls or appointment setting calls to taking inbound calls or customer service calls, doing data research, data entry, your bookkeeping, you name it. Supreme Outsourcing is the supreme choice in delegating your tasks to. If you want to become a lifestyle master, you need to start delegating more. And if you know me, you know that I say a master of lifestyle is one whose best friends don't know the difference between their work and their play. So this is Louis Lotman, and get ready for today's training. All right, welcome everybody, and welcome to the show. This is Louis Lotman, and I am so excited to be here with today's guest. Today's guest is an amazing, amazing man. A lot of you know that I joined this community called CEO Space about a year ago, and this is where a lot of high-level networking with CEOs happens, and a lot of people introducing people to people, and everyone kept telling me, you got to meet this guy named Greg Ryder, and I had no idea who he was. Then as I learned and found out more, I heard that Master P, a guy that I used to listen to his rap music about 10 years earlier, make him say, I remember that going through my mind for years listening to that music. I heard that this guy, Greg, had an affiliation, a joint venture partnership. He even brought him to CEO Space. He brought his daughter, who's now a Nickelodeon star, that Greg has another partnership and runs a piece of her PR and her membership website and her products. Really amazing guy. He's raised hundreds of millions of dollars for startup companies over the last 25 years. In a prior life, he was, what was it, just real quick, was it a venture capitalist, or you were working for?
It was the youngest owner of a full-service investment banking firm at the age of 21.
Okay, so this guy is the real deal. What I love about him, he's an internet marketer. He's a guy that gets things done. He knows about outsourcing. He knows about building teams. He knows about creating systems. He knows about leverage. This guy knows it all. If you want to talk about credibility and trust, this guy has been there and done that. You can go to his website. You see pictures of him with all these celebrities. And today, he's going to teach us how to celebritize your brand, how to create a Hollywood profit faucet. And I think all of us as business owners, we really need to understand that we need that, because as Greg is going to share with us, he's going to show us how and why when we start to position ourselves in the marketplace, not only as the expert, but as someone that people look up to, it's going to lead to an avalanche of business. So I want to welcome Mr. Greg Ryder. How are you, Greg?
I am loving life. And you know, the problem with this topic and that intro is that it blew my cover, right? See, because you've already given me this third-party endorsement, and those who trust and like you now have some credibility and trust with me, but yet they know nothing about me, right? And that's kind of like the whole idea behind Hollywood Profit Faucet and celebritizing your brand and teaching people strategies and tactics that they can leverage and use and implement to build better credibility and trust, to separate them from the competition, because that's the bottom line. Is it's a very competitive market out there. We've got to celebritize our brand. We've got to build that credibility and trust. And this is all about giving value to the people listening to this, taking your valuable time, letting you take home something you can implement that's going to increase your sales, increase your bottom line, increase the longevity of your business.
Well, the cool thing was, Greg, we met last year. We chatted a few times. I created the Yes Movie. I had a membership site, and I knew you were doing things similar, and we got to talking. We really clicked. And then a few months back, you said you were putting this new system together, and you wanted me to take a look at it. And I said, absolutely. I felt honored. And then you said, hey, if you feel good with it, tell your friends. And without even thinking about it. Like, of course, I wanted to look at your product and what it is that you had there, but without even thinking about it, Greg, just because of who you are and like how I feel about you, like whatever you make a request for, consider it done. It's almost like because of, like you say, the credibility and trust and the way that I admire you and know that you wouldn't stand behind anything that isn't of super high value and you're not out there to make a difference for people. It's like you tap me on the shoulder, aye, aye, sir, I am ready and ready to serve you. And that's how I feel about you. And I know that everybody on this video, on this training, on this interview here, they're going to get just as much value.
I appreciate that. That's awesome. And, you know, and the reason I kind of said that a minute ago is because I just got done speaking on stage, and I know you're a professional, you do speaking and whatnot. And I was going to say professional, but I don't think of myself as a professional speaker. But I got invited to speak on stage, and the guy says, okay, what's your resume? I'm introducing you. What do you want me to say about you? And I said, I don't want you to say anything. Right? I want to get on stage as a nobody because in my presentation, it's all about me building trust and building this credibility through my presentation. So I literally got on stage and I said, okay, now obviously I have some credibility or I wouldn't be on stage. So the fact that I'm on stage and the promoters or the event holders invited me on stage, you guys got to give me some little love because I'm on stage. I get that. But how many of you right now, this minute, would buy a car from me? And I'm telling you this car is worth $9,000. And the car is worth $9,000, but I need money and I'm going to sell it to you for $1,000. So it's a car, and here's a picture of it, and here's what it is, and here's the make, and here's the model, and it's a $9,000 car, and I need $1,000. How many people will buy my car right now based on, they know me? And literally in the audience, no one raised their hand.
Wow. And
so there's the point, right? It's like, even though I'm telling the car's worth $9,000, and I said, even though I only want $1,000, who's going to buy my car? No one raised their hand. So I said, let me throw one little thing in there. I said, let me tell you that this car is going to appreciate, and in 3 years from now, is going to be worth $30,000. So you're going to give me $1,000, you're going to hold on to the car for 3 years, and now it's going to be worth $30,000. How many people will now buy the car now? And I actually had 2 or 3 people raise their hand. And I said, okay, so at what point does credibility and trust or value override credibility and trust? And obviously, for some of those risk takers, they're going, man, 1,000 to 30. Okay, I just override credibility and trust. I want to make 30 times my money, so I want to buy the car. So then as I kind of go through and introduce myself, and I'll do a little bit of that today to try to get the same point across, that the more you know about me and the more facts that I can present that substantiate my claims, I build credibility and trust. And then literally by the end of my presentation, I had the whole audience, everybody in the audience raise their hand going, I'll buy that car now. So let me kind of start by saying this. So you kind of mentioned the investment banking. I was very fortunate to where I was born into a very wealthy Denver family in Denver, Colorado. And my parents got divorced when I was 3 years old. And just like that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I always tell people, hey, who knows Kiyosaki? Because tell that guy to start sending me royalties because he wrote that book about me. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And because literally I lived that life. I had 3 different stepfathers, multiple half-brothers and stepsisters and stepbrothers. And I remember going out to dinner with my mom, my stepdad, and these half-brothers, half-sisters, and stepsisters, and the bill was maybe $80. And then once a month, or once every 2 or 3 months, I'd visit Dad, and we'd go out to dinner, and the tip was $200, right? And my dad lived in a $1 million house back in the 80s, and that was a big mansion back in the 80s. Like, it was like an 18-room house, whatever. And so I lived this, right? I lived this. And then my dad got me into investing when I was 19 years old. I had dropped out of college. I started getting a construction job. And I got my dad's Jaguar one day, and he had a bunch of stock confirmations sitting on a seat, and I'm flipping through them going, what is this, Dad? I'm looking at these things, and it was like 500,000, 200,000, 100,000. I'm like, holy macaroni, what is this? He goes, oh, that's stock. I'm like, what's stock? So this education process started. And he said, if you want to learn to invest, I'll get you in. So I had $2,000 saved. He got me to an investment. And I ended up turning my $2,000 into $14,000 in less than like 4 months or something like that.
Wow.
And dude, I found my home. I'm going to be a stock trader. I'm going to be a stock mandator. This is the easiest thing I ever did. I gave my dad $2,000. He gave back $14,000. And that led to me becoming an investment banker. And then ultimately, 2 years later, buying the firm that I worked for. And when I bought the firm I worked for, I was written up in national paper as the youngest owner of a full-service investment banking firm in the history of the United States at the age of 21. And then I tell people real humbly, that was my first big mistake in life. If I could have done things over, I would definitely not do that because I really had no clue what I was doing. I went from being this guy that, oh, you're Dirk Ryder's son, here's $1 million. You're Dirk Ryder's son, here's $500,000. And I was just piggybacking off my dad's credibility and trust. And then the next thing you know, I owned the firm and I had 30, 40 people working for me. And I had no idea how to manage people and how to do stuff. So you can imagine what that's like, right? And I'll never forget, you and I had that conversation on the cruise ship. And you were talking about how you wanted to raise some capital. And one of the things I'll always remember about you, Lewis, is you said to me, you said, look, I've been to these meetings like 4 or 5 times. I've sat through these classes, and you cleared things up for me.
Yeah. So just as a side note, I mean, folks, we're going to get into why it's so important to celebritize your brand here, but really understand that Greg is coming from, I mean, just a wealth of knowledge of background, having the rich dad, having the experience, having been raising capital at such a young age. Part of the trainings that I've been going through was multiple trainings over and over and over and over, spending hours upon hours, days upon days of learning to raise capital. I learned more from Greg in sitting with him for about 45 minutes than I did for the last year of studying this particular topic of raising capital and putting together a PPM and structuring the deal and valuation and all of that. So, Greg, we're probably going to have a follow-up video to this. This one's going to be on celebritizing your brand, but the amazing thing is your ability to just make the complex so simple. And I know we're going to get into that. That is something that absolutely I honor you by, Greg. That's absolutely true.
I appreciate that, and I'll always remember that because, you know, it's good to know, you know, sometimes you, like even you have certain skill sets and certain stuff, and you forget what you forget what you know, and sometimes you don't value, you know, that expertise. And so again, I want to try to compliment everybody as we go through this. The people that are taking your valuable time to listen to this, our goal is to give you value every 5 minutes. And with me, I want to make it entertaining, and I want to tell stories because stories will help cement and help you remember what's going on. But the bottom line is that I got exposed to raising money for companies. We raised capital for Shopping Network, Home Shopping Network. I raised them some of their original seed capital to start Home Shopping Network. And if you can imagine a 21-year-old calling up going, Lewis, dude, you know, I got my phone like, dude, you've got to invest in this company. They're going to sell stuff. They're going to take the television, cable network, sell stuff on the TV, 7, 24, 365. It's like a store live on television. And people are going, Ryder, you're crazy. No one's going to buy anything off the television. This is like 1982, 1983, right? And so it turned out to be a multi-billion-dollar company. And then this guy came to me, and he had 2 VCRs in a cardboard box soldered together. He goes, I've invented and patented the world's first dual deck VCR. where you can put a VCR, copy it from one to the other, and I raised him his original seed capital. That stock went from like 10 cents a share to $22 a share. Wow. And so I give these examples, and I looked at thousands of business plans and hundreds of investments. But for every one of those big winners we had 10 losers. So I have both sides, and I try to take, you know, and again, that's what everybody does, right? Like I'm 50 years old. I turned 50 this year, and everybody that's been around any length of time, the goal is to take what you've learned and not do it again, and not make the same mistakes again. So in this whole idea of celebritizing your brand, building credibility and trust, it's just something everyone needs to take serious. And so you could say, okay, now that you guys know my background, I know what I did, and how people will buy a car from me. And then see, again, we don't have the technology going right now for me to show you, but I actually have screenshots of the newspaper article from 1984 that says National Over-the-Counter Newspaper, and here's this article about me, and I have pictures. And anybody listening that's familiar with Denver, Colorado, here's the ultimate credibility. So when I say I was born to a wealthy family, and I tell you guys, okay, go to downtown Denver. Have you been to downtown Denver, Lewis?
Actually, no, I haven't, not yet.
Okay. So downtown Denver is like anything else, filled with high rises. You know, it's a big downtown metropolitan area or whatever. And in downtown Denver, there's a whole square block named Ryder Square after my family.
Wow.
I mean, literally. So you go down this, and people, and then what I do is, like, when I'm in an audience, I'm speaking, again, to build credibility and trust. It doesn't work for me to say, hey, my family has a whole square block in Denver, Colorado named Ryder Square. So I inevitably have a room of 200, 300 people. I go, how many people have been to Denver? Oh, always somebody. How many people have been to Ryder Square? I say, stand up. Would you please validate there's a whole square block in downtown Denver called Ryder Square? And then there's Ryder's Homes, there's Ryder's Manors, and my dad built restaurants, my dad built bars, my dad built Chuck E. Cheese's, my cousins built this. And so I make a claim, but then you have to substantiate it with facts. And then what that does is starts to build that trust. Well, hey, this guy's the real deal. I better listen to him, right? So moving on in this whole process, I'm one of these guys that believes that you can accomplish anything through intention, right? So through strategic intention with your business, you can achieve anything, literally anything. I want to go to the moon. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just how long is it going to take, how much energy you're going to put into it. So at one point in my life, my youngest daughter, who Lewis had the pleasure of meeting on the cruise ship, she stumbled across a pornographic website on the internet after typing her name Candace into a search engine. And so I went and looked at parental control software programs, and what I found was inadequate, did not work. So I talked to my brother, who was a programmer, and we invented the world's first cartoon interface kid-safe browser. And when kids use this browser, they could only surf pre-approved, pre-screened, child-appropriate websites. And it was really, really cool, and I really got passionate about it. I started hanging out with other parents and other families, and I started looking into this whole predator thing online and all the pornography and all the bad stuff and all the different things that kids were doing online. And I'm like, wow, I'm going to make this a commercial product. So I actually launched the product. And in my launch, I didn't go very far, and I realized really quickly I'm going to need $100 million to build a brand and really launch this product. I don't have $100 million. So I said, what can I do? What can I do? And I had raised money for the movie industry. I had done a lot of movie deals, and I thought to myself, I want to private label our technology, and I want to brand it with somebody else's brand that I can borrow and use their credibility, trust to get market share, to get customers. And so I started researching what I wanted. I said, okay, this is for kids, so I'm going to look at the cartoon angle. And so I started looking at Bugs Bunny and SpongeBob, SquarePants, and Mickey Mouse, all these different cartoon characters. And then I came across Shrek. And in my research, I found articles that said Shrek was the second most recognizable cartoon character on planet Earth. Wow. Second to Santa Claus. And this goes back to like 2006, I think it was. And then I read articles that Shrek was a really unique cartoon character, and the Shrek movies were really unique because they appealed to parents and kids. And it was one of those few cartoon characters that had this crossover that parents liked them and kids liked them, or adults liked them. So I said, that's what I want to get. So I determined I was going to get DreamWorks, and I was going to get a deal with them to use Shrek to brand it as the world's first Shrek browser for kids. So again, this was by intention. And then I want to inspire every entrepreneur that when you decide you're going to do something and you know it's a good idea, you can never give up. So I started networking, and I know a lot of people. I have a fairly extensive database. I think I have 7,000 contacts in this little computer thing that we call a phone, and I have probably 15,000 in my app database, and I have like 200,000 on my email database. So I started asking everybody I know, emailing people, soliciting people. Who can introduce me to DreamWorks? Who can introduce me to DreamWorks? Who can introduce me to DreamWorks? With all my contacts, I could not get one. So I started emailing, snail mailing, and cold calling DreamWorks offices. Literally, Lewis, it took me 5 months of diligently, week after week after week. And finally, I was actually at CEO Space. I get the call. I answer my cell phone, and it's like, hey, this is so-and-so from DreamWorks. And I'm at CEO Space. I'm speaking at CEO Space. And I'm like, DreamWorks. And I'm like, yeah, we want you to come meet. So I'm like, the hair stands on my arm. This is such a cool story.
Was it a CEO Space contact that gave it to you, or was it through your efforts?
Nope, it was just through my cold calling.
Okay.
And they said, we want you to come meet us. We're going to give you a 20-minute meeting. Wow. So I literally said, I got to go. I left. I went and met with them. I said,
who were you meeting with? What role was the person you were meeting with?
I got with the marketing department. The head of the marketing department. Because my goal is to get them to market it as building their brand. So I got with them. I said, look, I got some technology that we're going to brand it with your brand, and we're going to install it for kids. And no matter where the kids go, no matter what the kids do, your brand is all on the desktop. They can be at your competitors' websites. Every single day, your brand is going to be seen by kids because it's on the desktop. Your brand is going to be on the most valuable piece of real estate on planet Earth this thing we call a desktop, and your kids are going to see your brand every day. Now, time out for a second. So why did I hammer the brand? Why? Because I did my research. I read their press releases. I went and read their marketing material. I went to all their websites, and I knew that these people want their brand in front of kids because that's going to drive licensed goods sales. It's going to drive movie sales, blah, 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 blah. So I hammered home the brand. And I said, in addition to that, when kids surf the internet, they're never going to stumble across porn, hate, violence. It's going to be a kid-safe browser. So to make a long story short, in a 20-minute meeting, there was the head of marketing and like 4 other people there, so a total of 5 people in the meeting. They whispered back and forth, and they said, you need to tell me, no matter where the kids go, no matter what they do, our brand is always on the desktop? I said, yes. And they said, this is the best brand strategy we've seen for the internet we're in. We want to do this. So I left there flying higher than a kite. I literally flew back to CEO's face. In my mind, I actually drove. But I was hired a kite, and I'm like, I just got... Now again, this is a company that's traded on the New York Stock Exchange. They had a multi-billion-dollar market cap, and I'm going, I just got a multi-billion-dollar company to say yes in a 20-minute meeting. I'm like, I have hit the mother mode. This is the big. This is incredible. Well, that was the good news. The bad news is it took me a year and a half to ink the contract. Now, the point I want to make is, 1, it was by intention. 2, it was through tenacity that I got the meeting. And 3, it was by pure tenacity that I hung on and went week after week, month after month, call after call, attorney after attorney, due diligence after due diligence, a year and a half to get the deal. But now, I can put, in fact, I don't think I have one in here, but I could put a CD in front of you showing you I did a deal with DreamWorks. And for the next, until I pass away and graduate to heaven, I will be using that as a credibility and a trust builder, going, I closed the deal with a multi-billion-dollar company with my technology. Now that made the next deal, the sales cycle shorten, and the next deal, sales cycle shorten. And again, we'll get into this a little bit more in the future, but like you said, I'm partnered with Master P and his daughter Symphonique's my spokesperson. And why did I get that deal? Because I showed him in a 5-minute presentation what I did for DreamWorks, and he knew the entertainment industry, and he knew how big DreamWorks was. And his mindset was, if it's good enough for DreamWorks, it's good enough for me.
Yeah, beautiful. And it's an amazing strategy. And, I used that when I was creating the Yes movie, where I started getting people to commit and agree to be in the movie. And one person I could leverage to the next one, to the next one, to the point where some of the people that I almost offered to be in the movie in the beginning, we didn't use them because we kind of ponied that up to get much bigger and better name stars with greater credibility. So tell us, it sounds like, you come from a great lineage of family, but this DreamWorks deal, I mean, you were really just cranking out on your own, and it came through a cold call on your own. So I'm sitting here thinking, the average guy or girl on the street who's wanting to build out their brand, want to celebritize themselves, that wants to turn on their Hollywood, profit faucet for themselves, it's not necessarily always looking at that guy and saying, well, he's lucky and he's got the rich dad, or looking at the people, well, they're in the movies, or, oh, they're this or that. Talk to us about, your average person who has their company, been in business a couple of years and looking to really take it to the next level, how and what they can do specifically to start getting some credibility like this DreamWorks deal or something that's more relevant for them.
Well, okay, so one of the things I want to do is I want to broaden the mindset. I want to get out of the box and let's broaden the box of what a celebrity is, right? So we all know, we see it every day, that real celebrities like television, Hollywood, TV celebrities, they help accelerate and explode your brand into the marketplace because then you get instant trust whether you deserve it or not. But let's take that to a different level. Let's talk about, maybe it's the mayor. Like, I happen to have video of me and the mayor where the mayor is giving me an endorsement, right? And why? The mayor...
And this happens to be something that you do have. I mean, it was just amazing to see. I remember when you were launching that product that you were talking about with your daughter, you had an event, and I read a press release, which is one of the things that you teach in your Profit Faucet program. You actually had the mayor coming to your office, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. We had the mayor and come to our office, and what is the mayor's job, right? He wants to create jobs. He wants to support local businesses. So I'm like, hey, I'm a growing business. I'm going to hire more people. I want to be one of the fastest growing companies in our town. You need to help support me. And so I developed a rapport with him. But again, intentionally, I got the mayor to endorse us, to come to our events. and I leverage that, right? And so really think about who are the movers and shakers in your industry or your city or where you're at that you can borrow their brand. And whether that's getting a picture with them or whether that's getting an implied endorsement or getting a letter of endorsement from them, but you really just by intention write it down. So I always tell people from a coaching perspective, write down 100. Like take the time and write down 100 of the dream list and that could really benefit you from what can they do to celebritize your brand, those endorsements. And it might just be like Trek. Trek's not a person, but it's a brand. And let me tell you one little secret about that.
You actually teach this, I remember, in your Hollywood Profit program. You actually tell people and walk them through this. And I remember as you were teaching this, and I went through this program that you sent me to review, it got me thinking about in a bigger and greater way. It's one of the things that led to this interview amongst many, many others. But I think it was just a powerful thing because there's people who are watching this right now who in their local marketplace that they can access. They just need to start with that intention and do something about it, I would imagine.
Yeah. Now think about if you're an inventor or you invented a product and you can put somebody else's brand on that product, whether that's DreamWorks or a cartoon character or everything is licensable. So once you understand licensing and how you can go pay people money to put their logo or their brand or their trust on your product, you can get distribution, you get sales that you couldn't get. And that could be maybe, like I met this lady who made a mop, she made one of those mops, a fancy mop for mopping things up. And I'm like, if you were to go license the right brand, you're going to be able to get sales that you couldn't get. Maybe that's Tide, maybe it's, who knows what that is. But the point is it's knowledge, right? So if you don't know how to do this and you see how this could benefit you, that's what Hollywood Profit Faucet's all about. Is we're going to give you the knowledge and share with you exactly how I did it, exactly how you can do it, and you can step through that. So it's licensing. It's getting local people. It's getting industry people. And it's not, when you do it through intention, it's really not as hard as people make it to be. It's really not. It's like I tell people, you can get to anybody you want to get to. I don't care if it's Richard Branson, the President of the United States, it doesn't matter. If you really want to get to them, some of them might take a while. Like, Chet Holmes?
Yeah.
So Chet Holmes is one of my marketing mentors, and I love his book that he wrote called The Ultimate Sales Machine, and he's right now been battling cancer for a while. But I love his thing. He's like, he went out, he wanted to partner and do a deal with Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
He worked on this diligently, not like, sporadically, diligently, consistently for 7 years.
Yeah.
Now he's partnered with Tony Robbins, and every day you drive down the radio and listen to talk radio, you hear an ad with Tony and Chet Holmes. Yeah. Right? So you can do it, but are you the kind of guy that's going to take 7 years? Are you going to do that? And now you said something a second ago, Lewis, that's really the key, is when you go nail one, and I shouldn't use that word nail, but when you, how about this, when you bag an elephant, right? When you bag a DreamWorks, and you properly massage that relationship and leverage that relationship, you can take that DreamWorks, that DreamWorks deal, and go, I went and got Time Magazine, and I went and got Miss America organization, and I went and got McGruff the Crime Dog, and I went and talked to the NFL. Now I have Symphony. So I leveraged one elephant or whale to other elephants or whales. And in my opinion, that's the only way to really build significant wealth and build I'm working on building a multi-billion-dollar company. And I'm not going to do that getting 5,000 and 10,000 type deals. I got to get whales, and I got to get all these whales together, and that's what's going to bring the millions of customers, which generates the billions of dollars in valuation.
Yeah, the thing that immediately comes to me when you were talking about that, you imagine, several years ago, there was probably a person out there making this grill, and they're trying to figure out how the heck do they sell it. They contact George Foreman, right? He didn't invent the grill, but he's the face of it, and they leverage his brand, just like you're talking about leveraging another brand out there. And how many, hundreds of millions of grills have been sold all around the world? Everybody knows it's the George Foreman grill. And very quickly, just by attaching the same way you did with DreamWorks, the same way you've done with Symphonique, and the same way that you're teaching us to do here, is going out and finding another brand there. How many people are out there with kitchen items or utensils or grills that are trying to sell it, but the moment you get that face and that brand, look what that did to that brand. It's a great example.
Well, that's a great example. I'm going to use that from here on out. That's a perfect example. And obviously that works for products. But you know what? You got to think outside the box. It can work for it can work for information products. It can work for services. You know, you can get people to endorse you, and you want other people ringing your bell. You want other people bird dogging for you. You want other people giving you praises, because that's what it's all about. And you do it, and I do it, and I don't understand why everyone just doesn't do this. But nowadays I got my beautiful little camera here. I was at an event a week ago, and I got 13 video testimonies. 13 on my phone. I upload them every day. If you're not using your phone to get people to say good things about you and to say stuff, and when you told me you went through my product and you just, and I'll let you say what you said to me, but what I said I wanted from you.
You wanted me to review the product and give me your thoughts on it and share it with some friends, I believe.
You said you went through it and you loved it, but I said, well, I want you to give me a testimony, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I want to do more than give you a testimony. That's why I want to do this video interview with you. I mean, it was jam-packed. The way that the program is set up, it's you and another gentleman. It's like a fireside chat, just sitting around talking about how to create a celebrity brand and a profit faucet, as you call it. And then you include these other interviews with other people, Larry Benet and Christy Frank from The Apprentice, people who have massively created a celebrity brand for themselves just by following the sequence of steps that you deliver. And then you also put in your program, you put contracts and templates, and I mean it's plug and play. It was fantastic. I actually listened to it. It sat on my computer for about 3 or 4 weeks, about a month or so, and then I had a plane ride to the Philippines, thank goodness, and it was about a 15, 17-hour plane ride. So I just went through that bad boy. Everybody else is sleeping, but I'm sitting there on the edge of my seat taking notes and creating action items. And look, this interview is a result of one of the multitude of strategies that you have in the program.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And you know what? I got to get you another interview, because since you download the product, I interviewed Russell Brunson, who's a friend of mine. And Russell, I'll tell you this is a quick little story. So Russell ends up getting his website .com secrets. I think it's .comsecrets.com on the outside of a Richard Branson Virgin Atlantic plane.
Wow.
Now when he speaks, he shows pictures with him with Richard Branson and shows his domain on the outside of a Virgin Atlantic plane, and it just builds credibility and trust going, this guy's with Richard Branson, and he also has Tony Robbins. That's another story. But the Richard Branson story was really easy. So check this out. So he gets invited to go to the Rock the Casbah, and Rock the Casbah is a fundraiser that Richard Branson does every year for his foundation. So it's like you pay to play. $2,500, you can get in this thing.
Yeah, I've been to it.
And he goes to Rock the Casbah, and then during this Rock the Casbah, they do an auction. You know how they do live auctions to raise money? They do a live auction that we'll put whatever you want on the outside of one of my planes. So he got in the auction, he bid $5,000, then it went to 10, then to 15, then to 20, then 25. Anyway, he ended up spending, I think he told me, $50,000 to have that done. I remember telling you, his wife was not very happy about that he just put $50,000. But the point is that additional credibility and trust he got by having pictures with Richard Branson, being able to put out a press release, he's supporting their thing with a tax write-off, he's got it on the plane. He'll be using that like I'm using Shrek for years and years and years and years. I said, what was that worth to you, Rick? What was that worth to you, Russell? He goes, it's going to worth at least 7 figures. At least 7 figures. So you're going, here's a $50,000 donation to support a charity, and it's worth millions of dollars to them. We can all do that. And then I'll give you another example that is a great example. Are you familiar with Joe Polish?
Yeah, of course. I mean, Joe's raised well over $1 million for the Virgin Unite, and he's at Rock the Casbah. I've been there. That's where I met re-met Larry over at there, and it's a great story with Joe, which might be the one that you're sharing. What he's done for Branson, going out to serve. And then now he has a marketing mastermind and spends time on his island with Branson and charges other people close to $50,000 to come through this program. So absolutely, great.
Did you know Joe before that?
I actually did, yes.
Okay, so you tell me if you agree with this. So I've known Joe and followed Joe for a long time. And so Joe was known as the marketing expert for carpet cleaners.
Yep, that's his background.
I'm going to call and interview Joe and ask him this, but I'm pretty sure through intention, he said, I'm going to raise money for Richard Branson's foundation. And when he raised money for Richard Branson's foundation, he was able to get a picture with him and do it. And then he leveraged that and leveraged that. Now he's the #1 guy. He's raised more money for Richard Branson's foundation than any single person on planet Earth. Now, by that intention, do you think Richard Branson loves this guy? Of course he does. Do you think Richard Branson takes his calls? Of course he does. Do you think Richard Branson comes to the island? Of course he does. So you take all that together and you go, that has taken Joe Polish from where he was as the master carpet cleaner marketer to a whole other level, to where the guy's getting $25,000 to join his mastermind group. And it just compounded his income, his credibility, and his trust. And it's the ultimate case study of how through intentions and doing something I'm doing something good. I'm raising money for this charity. And so it's just awesome. So you can do that. Everyone listening can do something like that.
That's something that I did. I spoke on a stage with Richard Branson down in Melbourne, Australia last year. So that was one of the things that said, I've got to do something with Branson here. So everybody who's watching this, it sounds like we're real excited, really ready to go out there and find a person to align with. What else do you got? What are some other takeaways that we can leave here today and say, all right, I'm going to find someone who's going to be the face of my product that I'm going to co-market with. What else can we do? What else do you think will make a difference for somebody that really wants to create a celebrity profit faucet for themselves?
Well, I think the first thing that everybody should do and everybody can do is you've got to get a press release strategy, and you need to put out press releases. Now, I'm one of these guys that I believe this is one of the best strategies for search engine optimization, for getting backlinks, for driving traffic. It's one of the great white hat strategies as opposed to black hat. And those of you who are not familiar with those terms, black hat's where you're kind of cheating Google or the system, and eventually they catch you and they cut you off and you're done. And there's the gray hat, which is kind of in the middle there. But white hats, where it's totally legal, totally above board, and putting out press releases is one of those. So what I did, because I always do things in grand form, is I went and worked out a deal with PR Web, and I wrote them a big fat check so I could put out one press release a day for the next year on anything I'm doing. And I had this grandiose idea that I could come up with enough content to do that, but of course I can't, so now I offer this service to everyone. But basically, I use the premium press release service. Now, some people use free press releases, and that does work, and it is effective at some point. But I use the premium press release service that costs $369 per press release. And when you do that, it goes out to 250,000 subscribers, 30,000 journalists and bloggers. It goes out to all of the, WallStreetJournal.com, Yahoo.com, all the big things, Associated Press. And I'm going to look over here at my screen. I got a case study where when President Obama signed the Jobs Act, and I want to be known as one of the experts with crowdfunding in the Jobs Act, I put out a press release that says President Obama supports crowdfunding with the Jobs Act. Free webinar reveals the benefits for entrepreneurs and business owners. So I said, I'm going to do a webinar on the Jobs Act. I'm going to tie into national news. And I ended up getting like 5,000 opt-ins to my list from this press release. I got picked up on 7,000 websites that all link back to my website. And then now my name's out there. So if you were to go to Google and like put my name, Greg Reiter, in quotation marks, I don't know what it was. The last time I looked, I come up on like 30,000 websites. So again, I tell people, go do that. Just go check me out. Go Google me. Put me in quotation marks. Make sure you only get me. And it's like, dude, 30,000 websites in every press release, and then they see these press release after press release after press release. It builds up credibility. It makes me an expert. It's the ultimate credibility. Now I tell people, sure you can do one, but one is like, it's not the strategy. The strategy is consistent over and over and over again. So one of my favorite sayings is doing things consistently, small things done consistently over long periods of time guarantee results. So I tell people at a minimum do one press release a month for 12 months. So let's take an example. So if this one got picked up by 7,000 websites, another one got picked up by 13,000 websites, let's just say 7,000, and I did 10 in the next 12 months, that's 70,000 websites that have picked up a press release that have my name in it and a link to my website and a story talking about me and what I'm doing. 70,000, right? So if you really want to get aggressive, do one a week. Like on Hollywood Profit Faucet, I'm getting ready to put out one press release a week the next 6 weeks. And what that does is twofold. One is it gives me credibility as an expert. It shows up on all these different websites, which drives traffic. And two, a lot of these websites do hyperlinks back to my website, so it gets me a high quality backlink. So when I have the San Francisco Times post my press release and give me a link back, Google loves that. Google loves high quality backlinks to your website. So then my site starts to rise up in the search engines for the terms celebritize your brand, celebrity endorsements, those kind of things. So I pick the keywords that I want. We write highly optimized, keyword optimized press releases. So do one a month, do one a week, and you watch. And again, it's not going to happen tomorrow or a month from now, but I'll tell you, 6, 8, 9, 12 months from now, you do that consistently, your traffic, your link backs, it just keeps on coming. It keeps on coming. It's one of those marketing strategies that's affordable. Think it's only $369 per release. That's not expensive. And the mileage you get from the compounding of it, which reminds me of the book that Darren Hardy wrote, The Compound Effect. It's just awesome. So everybody can do that. So let me, have you ever done that, Louis? Have you ever done press release?
Yeah, absolutely. When we first launched the Yes movie, we were paying, I think it was like $400 to get it out on the wire, and it was going out to everybody. But one of the things that I haven't done that I recognize that I need to do is do one more consistently. You know, it's funny because I know people, I guess, who are putting out press releases for like every single thing they do, and you know, sometimes I'd look at that and I'd be like, oh, great, they hired a new COO. Terrific. You know, I've done that and I didn't put out a press release. Well, silly me. I should have. Shouldn't I have?
Right. No, you need to, every time you get a new client, you know, for your VA services, put one out. I mean, you got to create things to put them out, and maybe you put out you know, it's all link back, it's all juice, it's all credibility. And as you know, I bought that company, BizPad, the project management software company. And I put out one press release a week on that. Right? So it's just, you know, a year from now, it's going to help me compete with my number one competitor, Basecamp.
So are there any specific outlets that you think are important? I know you mentioned PR web. Where else would you recommend somebody? I mean, to create the most leverage and get the most bang for their buck, where else would they put this press release out on?
Well, there's like PR Newswire. There's 2 or 3 the top-notch news wire services. So anyone, and they all do the same thing. So it doesn't really matter. Then there's all kinds of free ones, and you can just type in free press release distribution, and you'll find dozens and dozens and dozens of websites, and you can go there, create an account, and post your press release. And it does help. It's better than nothing.
Yeah.
But me, I just assume get it out over the wire and do all that kind of stuff and make that kind of happen.
Yeah, and what's great about it is it's indexed. So a year from now, if I'm searching a search term like Obama and webinar, yours might be the only Obama and webinar. Those two people that put those two things together. So it's there for probably forever, as long as we have the internet. So we have going out there and building credibility, building trust, going out and finding a brand, a person to align with, going out and connecting with movers and shakers, making these claims, backing them up with facts, getting the word out, talking about what it is that you're doing. Let's say we've got somebody who just started up their business and they're trying to figure out, all right, what percentage of my business should I be spent on celebritizing my brand, and what percentage of my business should be spent on maybe going after clients? But probably part of celebritizing your brand is going to lead you to getting clients, won't it?
At the end of the day, it's a strategic decision that you have to look at and go, I'm going to make my life easier for the next 5 years, 10 years, 2 years, 1 year, whatever that is. And maybe if you do a politician, it might be only making your life easier for a few, like my mayor. It's like when he's not mayor anymore, what did that do, right? But see, my point is, so depending on what your business is, you have to weigh those pros and cons of how much a celebrity or those third-party endorsements can really help your brand and what you can do. But strategically, it's going to make your life easier and better. And then again, from a marketing perspective, once you got that, you can use, like I can use the DreamWorks logo and the Shrek logo on all my marketing, on my websites, on my brochures, on my business cards, on my ads, all that stuff. So every marketing piece I have, I can tie myself to these recognizable brands that gives me credibility, which makes my life easier. So you can say to yourself, no, go out there and just start marketing without it, or go celebritize your brand. Do it and get it done. And I'm telling you, it's just a no-brainer that for most products. I'm sure there's some situations where maybe it doesn't make sense. I haven't really can't think of one, but you just got to do it. Now, let me share one other tactic with you that I'm also adding another module to the Hollywood Profit Faucet, and that's the flip side of licensing. So, okay, you go license the rights to use somebody else's brand. Like, I'm going to pay you money, and you let me use your brand. But what about you licensing your technology or your services or your information product or your product, right? Where it's like, here's my product. You pay me money. You put your brand out, and you go market it. So that's like the flip side. So some of the people I've met with, they don't want to be high profile. They don't want to talk to celebrities. They don't like that. They don't want to do that. I'm like, well, let's take your product, let's flip it, and let's go the other way. And you go find somebody that will license your product, and they'll put their brand on. They're paying you a check, and they're marketing it, and now they're just sending you a check. So let me give you an example. So I ended up getting this partnership with Percy Miller and his daughter Symphony, and his daughter Symphony is
Percy Miller, by the way, is Master P.
Yeah, she's got her own show on Nickelodeon, and she's got a Sony distribution contract, and she's like the next Hannah Montana. So we started an apparel line together called Be Your Own You, right? And we put a lot of money and a lot of energy into building the brand and making the brand look good and the website and that kind of stuff. But personally, I don't know anything about the apparel industry. And so I said, well, we'll just do it ourselves. Well, I got to tell you, after doing it ourselves for 18 months, I'm like, this is crazy. Because let me share with you. When you do apparel, you have to have multiple sizes. So you have the 4-year-old, the 6-year-old, the 8-year-old, the 12-year-old, the 16-year-old, the 20-year-old, the adults. So you have these multiple sizes, right? And then, so let's say you have, I think right now we have 12 sizes. And now the 12 sizes, we have like 24 designs. So we have 24 designs times 12 sizes. And then for you to get these things manufactured, you can't just get like one of these and one of those. You have to get like 144 of this size and this design, 144 of this size and this design. And I'm like, wow, this is manic. And then trying to keep track of the inventory and all the bean counting that goes along with that. And it's like, and then like me, I just give it away because I want people wearing the brand. And they're like, oh, well, our inventory's messed up. And like they all roll their eyes and go, writers giving stuff away again, you know. I'm like, God, this is hard, man. So now I've changed my strategy, and I'm looking for somebody that's in the apparel industry. They have the cut and sew, they have the manufacturing, they have the distribution, they have the contacts with Target and blah 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 blah. And they're just going to write me a check I won't make as much money. Right? There's not as much money in this, but I don't have to do anything. There's no risk on my part, no inventory on my part, no shipping. They're going to manufacture, design, ship, collect, and then just send me a royalty. And they're paying me a license fee to royalty the brand. Now, for me, that's a better deal because I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have the money. Now, if somebody came to me as an investor and said, I'm going to give you $10 million, let's hire the people that know what they're doing and put our own money behind it and we'll make a lot more money, then I would be open to that. So, but it's a strategic decision that I just wanted to drop that little seed for people going, it's something you can consider. And in my product, Hollywood Profit Faucet, we show exactly where all the licensing happens, exactly how you can get that done.
Yeah, and it's examples like that if you're watching this right now, you should start thinking about, what area of my business could I use this additional leverage in? The thing, Greg, that I think about is, a lot of people might not know this. I still do this thing at the gym called Zumba. Have you heard of Zumba?
Yeah.
It's this dance craze that is like sold 3-4 million copies all around the world of this DVD series. I started taking that back in 2004 down in Miami, Florida with this little Colombian guy that was teaching a class at my gym, and I was taking it for years and years and years. And then all of a sudden, one day I'm watching him on television. I'm like, holy cow, this guy is really blown up. And he connected with an infomercial company. But he didn't know a whole heck of a lot about marketing and sales and distribution and relationships and contact, all that. But he partnered with other people that knew how to do this and got the brand out in such a significant way. And now they also, as you were mentioning, have gone into clothing and all these different areas. And it's just an amazing strategy that this is, as we're watching this and as we're listening to this, we need to start thinking about, all right, if I want to celebritize my brand, this guy's all over television and all over the world. If I want to go out there and be known, or maybe even, as you were saying, not even be known, like the George Foreman grill person. We don't know who invented that, but you find someone who is known and you leverage that. Absolutely amazing strategy. Talk about. I know in your program you also included a bunch of agreements, and why is that so important? Where if you find someone, and you talked about the Shrek deal, that talk took you 18 months plus. You said a year and a half. Why is it so important? And to be able to close the deal and to be able to know how to structure and put these types of opportunities together when you find the person that you want to work with or the company or the opportunity.
Well, see, that's key. It's, the devil's in the details, right? So it's like these licensing deals can get dicey, and these contracts can get dicey, and these celebrity agreements can get very complicated on appearances and how many times they get to appear and blah, 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 blah. So I thought with our product, I would just I spent, I want to say upwards of $25,000 to $40,000 on those agreements. So I hope I whited out all the information. I think we blocked out all the information, and then we have that as part of our product. So at least, I don't really recommend anyone use those as a final form, but you can use those as a starting point to review and to read and go, wow, okay, this is a language from a $2 billion company and how they did the licensing deal with Greg, filled with insight, filled with wisdom and knowledge, and oh, now I get it, right? Now I understand it. So we're getting ready to do another license deal. We have a toy company that wants to license the Be Your Own You brand to build some toys. So I have a new girl that's working with me, Emily, she's my partner, and she doesn't know anything about the licensing industry, so I'm going to get her just to read the contracts. Going, here, read this. It's like literally a 50-page contract. 50 pages. It's brutal, man. So I'm going to get her to read it so she'll understand how a big multi-billion-dollar company protects itself, and then what they offered us and how that all works. So you can use that. And I'm the type of guy, because I'm a former investment banker and we raised $100 million, more than $100 million for companies. In my lifetime, I've spent over $3 million on legal fees. And so I'm real bitter about attorneys. I really don't. Most attorneys, right, they have the boilerplate stuff that they created once, and then they charge you 25 grand to change a few sentences. So I got real good at going, okay, I see how you've done this over and over. So I always keep my legal agreements, and then what I do is I'll take the legal agreement and I'll make it work for me, and then I'll go to my attorney and go, here's the deal. I took and I wrote my own deal, and I know you're going to want to earn your fee, and I know you're going to find something you have to change, because if you don't find anything, you're not going to make any money, but I will pay you $2,000 to read this and stamp your approval on it, right, or something along those lines. And so therefore I get the attorney's approval, I get him to look and see if I missed anything, and I save lots of money on that attorney.
That's one of the things I remember when we were sitting there on the cruise talking. I was talking about when I was looking to potentially raise funds for the film, the Yes movie that I was making, and I met with an entertainment attorney, and he wanted 35 grand to put together a certain agreement for me. And you said, I could probably email you a copy of one that's very similar to that. And
Yeah.
the sequence, the process, the templates, they're all out there, and it can save you time, money, headaches, and you've seen over and over and over again that it's the same similar type of thing. And the same is true with celebritizing your brand. The same is true with getting publicity. The same is true with going out there and positioning yourself as the expert, not only as the expert, but as the celebrity in the marketplace. Let's actually talk about that, where, what's the difference between being the expert and being the celebrity in your marketplace? Because maybe there's somebody who's got a lot of knowledge and they might go speak at their local community, chamber of commerce or something, but what's the difference between really taking that to the next level and being at the forefront? So, when you think of celebritizing your brand, you think of Greg Ryder. How does somebody do that for their industry?
Well, I think that's a really good question. And again, some people don't want to be in that limelight, but I think that's the flip side. Going, okay, I want the celebrity endorsements, and I want that third-party endorsements, and I want those testimonies. But at the end of the day, when I put out a press release, I personally, if I want to get press, I personally will email it. Well, I don't personally email it, but I'll have my people email the local press, and then I'll call them. I'll say, I'm the CEO, I just want to make you got this. And every single time I do that, I get an interview, I get publicated, right?
Do you actually make the call yourself?
Yeah, because that doesn't happen very often, right? So I'm the CEO, and it's either the publicist that calls, and I don't have a publicist, right? So I just make the call myself, because I want to get known, and I want to get in the press, and I want to get that PR, and I want to get on stage, and I want to get out there and do things. And so to me, there's a lot to be said. Like, I'll give you another example. I was reading one of my books. I'm a big personal development junkie. My goal is to grow 20 minutes a day, every day, no matter what. So every day I'm reading something or doing something. And I read this story, and a guy that I know, I wouldn't say we're friends, but we're business acquaintances. He was the chief marketing officer for Kodak. And this guy's big. He's huge. And he said that when he used to have a print shop, he wanted to get more known in the community. And there was a story about how they were doing an Easter egg hunt for Easter. And he said they were really terrible at marketing and they didn't really have a good turnout. So he said, I'm going to sponsor this and I'm going to print up flyers, and that's going to be my sponsorship thing. But he goes, I personally walked up and down downtown street and I said, hey, I'm the CEO of this print shop and I want to help, the Easter egg hunt this year. So I've donated my printing services, and would you guys put, my flyer in your window to help promote the Easter egg hunt? And he goes, I didn't talk to just the people working there. I made sure I got a hold of the manager or the owner. And I went around, and what did that do? He said, he goes, it basically celebritized my brand. It put me up on a pedestal that I was sponsoring this, that the CEO took time, the owner of the print shop took time to come and do this, and it gave me that level of credibility going, hey, he's doing something for our community. He's taking time and doing something for his community. And of course he was, but by intention, it was a marketing strategy. And he goes, that year, instead of having 10 flyers up, they had 400. They had like a 16-to-1 turnout for the Easter egg hunt that they had before. And then because he did this, the TV stations called him up and wanted to interview him. The radio stations wanted to interview him. And then at the actual Easter egg hunt, they asked him to do some type of keynote speech to the whole group and say, ready to go, or however they did it. And he got all that credibility. And now forever, people were talking about what he did for the community.
Wow, and there's so many of these strategies that you're sharing with us that cost little to nothing. I mean, very, very little just to get started, and they tend to kind of snowball on each other in terms of utilizing the leverage and one bringing you to the next one, to the next one. Just like you said, this strategy got them awareness, got them in the newspapers, got them in the radio interviews, got them on the news, and it really does build upon itself. We've been talking a lot about this product that you had me view, this opportunity that was just amazing for me. It took me about a month to get to it, but finally when I dug down deep, it brought me massive value. I mean, there's so much that we could talk about that was in the program, and we didn't even touch on how you talked about creating a board of advisors, or you talked a lot about the celebrity gift suite. I mean, that was just amazing, that part, when you're talking about getting celebrities to take pictures of your product. I mean, that was just fantastic, and building the dream sheet. Can you just talk a little bit more about your product? Because there's a lot of people, I imagine, that are watching this and they say, yeah, Greg, I want to get a piece of this. How do I find out more? First of all, what is in the Hollywood Profit Faucet?
Well, there's the module on licensing, there's the module on how to get to attorneys, there's a number of bonus gifts, and there's the contracts. And again, underneath this video, I'm sure you're going to put some type of link. And in full disclosure, that link is going to be Lewis's affiliate link, and I'm going to compensate and give him a percentage because we believe in sharing and reciprocating. And he obviously is not doing this because he wants to make money. He wants to help you with your business, but he also wants to get paid to refer people to us. And with that being said, the idea is, I want to make a comment about the gift suites. So when you and I were on the boat together, I can't remember his name. There was another guy. He goes, can I get a copy of that? So he got a copy and bought a copy. And literally within 2 weeks, he was in front of 40 celebrities.
Yeah, I think so. A good friend of ours. This was a good friend of ours, Shelley Hunt, by the way, who was actually the original person. Good, dear friend of mine. Met her about 5-6 years ago. She actually introduced me to CEO Space about 5 or 6 years ago, Greg, and I took 5 or 6 years to join. I was trying to justify the membership fee and going to the community 5 times a year. I was like, God, could it really be worth it? Well, she hosted a cruise, as she does every year, the Women of Global Change. She asked me to be one of the speakers, Greg one of the speakers as well, and a mutual friend of ours, Nick Barrar, the Soul Whisperer, who markets to celebrities. He helps them break through when no one else can help them. He was telling me this story about you, actually, that you were able to help make a difference and get him in front of some celebrities. That's great.
So that was amazing. That's like the ultimate testimony. Because I tell people, everyone listening right now, if you really want to do it, probably within 30 days, we can have you in front of 40 celebrities, where they just all day long for 2 days, you're meeting celebrity after celebrity after celebrity after celebrity after celebrity. You stand in one spot and we bring them to you. Now, what's that worth, right? And he didn't believe it. He's like, I can't believe it. Then he did it. He's like, dude, he goes, that was freaking incredible. I'm like, I know. So.
Yeah, fantastic. So for those of you that want to find out more about the Celebrity Profit Faucet, there is a link down here. You can use it as my affiliate link. I do appreciate that. You'll want to put your information in. You'll want to check this out. Greg, from what I've seen, can make a difference in your business. He's certainly made a difference in mine. You've obviously resonated. If you've been watching this, they're almost at the hour now. You've lasted an hour, so I commend you on that. Now it's time to take your opportunity to create your own Celebrity Profit Faucet to the next level. Regardless, Greg, it's been a fantastic interview. Is there anything else that you want people to know? I mean, the context in which they are coming in on this call, they probably resonated with some of the marketing. They saw something about Celebritize your brand. They saw something about a strategy to build trust and credibility. What would you want them to walk away with today?
You know, I wanted to walk away with the idea that this is so important to your business. If you can't figure out a way to build trust and credibility, you're blowing it. You might as well just give up now, because the trust and credibility in today's competitive marketplace, we're bombarded with media from everywhere, from our phones to TV to radio to social media, Twitter, and all that kind of stuff. You've got to break through the clutter. You've got to get people to listen to you. You've got to get that third-party endorsement, and you've got to build trust, and you've got to take it seriously. And you got to do it over long periods of time. Consistency, small things, that consistency over long periods of time. You have to do it. And you will be successful. You guarantee success if you do this kind of stuff. I just promise you that. And, let me do this because, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to organize this. You're going to take the time to put on your website. I'm like, what can I throw in extra for everybody who stopped through this during this time? So I don't know what it is. So here's what I came up with. So I have this product called BizPad. And BizPad, at its most expensive service, is $97 a month. $97 a month. And it will save you time. It will save you energy, allow you to collaborate with your team. It's a very cool, simple, easy online project management system. If you guys go and you invest your hard-earned money in Hollywood Profit Faucet, and then you forward your receipt to, I'm going to give you my personal email address. So I don't know if I should do that. Okay, I'm going to do it. So, CEO@bizpad.com. So if you forward your receipt that you bought Hollywood Profit Faucet, made that investment, Hollywood Profit Faucet, forward your receipt with your email address, I'm going to give you a year's free to BizPad, which is a $1,200 value.
Wow. Yeah, that's fantastic. And I'm sure that we're probably going to have another conversation about BizPad at some point in the future. And I think this isn't the last that we see of you, Greg. So that's a fantastic offer. Be sure, go ahead and check out the link below. We're going to have links for everything that we mentioned here today. And heck, if you guys want to have lunch or dinner or breakfast with myself or Greg, you can come join us at CEO Space. It's 5 times a year. Greg, this has been a fantastic interview. I've taken a lot out of it. The one thing that I reminded myself as a result of just chatting with you here is that I was the one who, I went out and put out a couple PR press releases, but I kind of stopped. I forgot to put them out on a regular basis. And that's something that really stuck out for me. You said be consistent about it. So that's definitely something that I'm going to get started on today. And heck, next time you see me, if I haven't done it, you be sure to kick me in the behind there, but it'll be done.
I'll know if you do it, because you gotta call me up. I'm gonna save you money. I got that contract with PR Web. I can save you lots of money.
Fantastic. Mr. Greg Ryder, thank you very much for being with us today. And for you, the viewer, congratulations on making it this far. Now the time is up to you to take some action. Go ahead, click the link below, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care.
See ya.